Good morning all, and thank you for clicking on this video. As you can tell, today I will be giving my 2 cents as to why I, as a 26-year-old woman, don't plan to have children. And I know this has been a huge talking point recently in the media, especially among politicians, especially among the conservative far right, who seem very concerned about the falling birth rates. So as far as, I'm concerned, this is why I don't plan on having kids, and I feel like it's some reasons that I've seen echoed, online, and as well as like people I've met and talked about this with in life. So sorry if this seems a little rambly. I don't have a script or anything. I'm just kind of going off the dome. So first of all, obviously, cost of living is a major concern for basically everyone my age. I mean, I don't plan on having kids, and I'm still very concerned about, if and when I'm gonna have the money to purchase a nice home that I can build a life in. And, when you're thinking about having kids, you have to factor in like daycare, the cost of activities, the cost of just giving birth, eventually college if that's something your child wants to do. And I mean, all that, of course, is very expensive, and not to mention just everyday life. Bills are going up, groceries continue to increase, gas prices right now especially, all of it just continues to rise, and I don't know anyone my age who is not concerned about the cost of living, especially when planning the future. And for people my age who do want children, that is a major, major concern. And people who do have kids might choose to have fewer kids than they would otherwise like due to the cost of living. I mean, daycare, from what I've heard, is basically a second rent or mortgage now. It's I would imagine very stressful. Not to mention, definitely a limiting factor that is very much current. But I would say for me, more so than cost of living, it's more so like almost a moral issue. I mean, not almost, it is a moral issue to me. Primarily considering environmental change and the political environment currently. So I'm going to go ahead and start with environmental issues. And this is nothing new, or at least it shouldn't be. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel like climate change or the mitigation of it should be a partisan issue. I mean, the science is there. This is a huge problem, and it's only going to get worse. We're already dealing with the effects of it now. But it's like, I'm worried about it for my generation, and I'm worried about what the effects are going to be for my life, 5, 10, hopefully 50 years down the line, I'm here and to see it. But I mean, even, I look at like the children, and I will say there's a misconception about people who don't want to have children, that they don't like children. And while that may be true for some people, I personally I love kids. Like, I love the children in my family, like the people in my life who have kids. Like, I do like children, and I want them to have a good world to grow up in. Like, you don't have to have kids personally in order to want a better world for future generations. And I feel like that's just such a toxic way of thinking, and that really, people who project that onto others really expose themselves for having a very limited scope of empathy and having it only extend to people in their inner circle, almost, to where they don't think about the future repercussions of actions until they have themselves or their progeny to be concerned about, to where it's like, no, I want that better world for everyone, just like I want that better world for people now who don't have a good standard of living. Like, I I want a better, anyway. Side tangent over. But the environmental issues are only going to continue to get worse. I mean, carbon emissions are continuing to increase despite multiple now failed like climate cutoff points. It's frustrating because more projects are being, like, more coal and natural gas projects are being approved. You know, natural, like, deforestation and destruction of the Amazon rainforest, and not to mention, like, recent what's the word I'm thinking of? Rescinding of certain protections in the US with, like, the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act, especially under the Trump administration. It's devastating. Destruction of public lands, just like deforestation, overconsumption. The overconsumption culture in America is absolutely unhinged and abhorrent. And that is another issue. That is more of a cultural issue, and that is something that can be changed, but that is something I am more optimistic that could be changed, because I do think people on a fundamental level do care, but the people in power know that the environmental destruction is happening and they are not caring. They're accelerating it, they're ignoring it, they're trying to get people to not care, and it is devastating. Storms are getting worse. People are going to start dying more frequently due to extreme heat. And water and other resources are going to become more limited. And that's only going to cause more tension and conflict between countries for resources. And only going to make the cost of living increase as these necessities start to become more scarce. And, you know, look at our food system. That's something where, with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, like, the fertilizer shortages that are affecting farmers are going to start to affect our food system, as well as, you know, aforementioned climate change and, you know, more extreme weather, more extreme droughts, more extreme rain, more extreme weather events are going to start to affect more people and create more climate refugees and destroy people's homes and communities. And it just seems like no one's really doing much about it, and that's very frustrating. And there are a lot of people who are trying to do something about it, but it's frustrating because you're fighting against the people in power who make it very difficult to enact things that will benefit the masses. And it makes no sense to me because, I mean, you take these people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and I'm blanking on his name, but the freaking Palantir guy, or whoever's in charge of Flock, and it's like all these people with so much money who could actually make a huge difference, and they're more concerned with being remembered by history point blank than being concerned with what their legacy actually is. It's like, obviously you have to be morally corrupt to get to that point of like billions and billions and billions in wealth. But I'm like, even trying to put myself in their narcissistic perspective, I'm like, wouldn't you want to be liked by people? Like, wouldn't you want history to look on you fondly? And I really don't think it will. And it's just so confusing to me because I'm like, even if empathy and compassion is not enough, wouldn't your ego want you to be looked on favorably? Anyway, I digress. See, I guess this is why people make scripts for YouTube videos, because I am just going off on wild tangents, which are related, yes, but not specific to the issue. So yes, climate change is a big concern of mine, and that is a reason why I will not personally be choosing to procreate, because obviously when you create a life that is, I think to some extent, you take on a responsibility for the consciousness you create, because humans have the burden of being aware, like fully aware of the brevity of life, the vastness of the cosmos, the potential insignificance, and the fact that like we will die. And you know, everyone has these conflicting views of what happens after death. I think a lot of it is for people to find comfort, and I think unfortunately sometimes religions can do more harm than good. Don't really need to get into that here, but I will say I know that is very tied up in the discussion of, you know, why people choose to have kids. And I am not a religious person, but if you are a religious person, I more so understand why you might not be as concerned with the immediate physical problems in the world if you truly believe that there is an afterlife that your potential children will be welcomed into in the hereafter. So as someone who doesn't, I think that makes it a lot easier for me to be like, well, I see where the world is, where it looks like we're going, and I don't feel comfortable bringing a conscious being here to experience that. Speaking of where we're going, also am not a fan of the rise of fascism in the US, not a fan of the way women's rights are being restricted, and potentially even more so in the future. I mean, you have these right-wing talking heads talking about repeal women's right to vote, because like that's fucking insane. That's crazy. That like it's just so frustrating. AI data centers are going up. The communities don't want them. Most people don't want them. They're wildly unpopular. The frickin' Shark Tank guy is forcing a data center, I think it's twice the size of Manhattan, on the people of Utah, when the Great Salt Lake is already like on its way to drying up. It's going to be massively environmentally devastating if that happens. It's going to use I think it's twice the amount of electricity as this whole state of Utah uses. That's a massive waste. It doesn't make any sense. And I see that, and I see these people acting like cartoonishly evil, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to bring a child into this world when the cost of living is already a problem. Who knows what it would look like in, 20, 30 years when my prospective kids were having to deal with it. Climate change is a problem. The rise of fascism is a problem. Freaking repeal of people's rights is a problem. It's just all so depressing. It's like it seemed like we were heading in a good direction, and then but then it's like, I don't know. And that's obviously, I live in America. I'm taking an American-centric view of these things, but this is not a problem specific to America. I mean, there's a lot of countries out there that, where I guess it's like, what I'm trying to say is I think a lot of Americans are lulled into a false sense of security, where they think, oh, nothing's gonna happen here. It's America. We're safe. And it's like, you don't know that. That is such a naive way of looking at the world and looking at. It's just like, it's naive, it's unfair. We are a global community, and a lot of times it feels like people are disconnected from anything outside of their immediate circle and lacking empathy for people outside of their immediate surroundings. And that's frustrating, because I think the way we build a better world is to build empathy, to build compassion, community, understanding. And yes, there are bad people out there, but I think a lot of people are good, and it's just frustrating because I think apathy has become entrenched, and especially in America when things are so consumeristic, which would be a hard culture to break out of, but it is possible. You don't need to order stupid shit on Amazon. You don't need to order Shein. Like, please stop ordering from Shein. Please stop ordering anything that's not a necessity from Amazon. Please stop with the freaking ChatGPT subscriptions. Like, stop using generative AI. It's bad for artists, it's bad for your brain, it's bad for the environment, it uses too much water, and it saps away your creativity and what it means to be a person. Think for yourself, make your own decisions. Don't automatize your life. Live your life. Find passions, find people you love, learn new things. Like, oh my god. And the cost of living is another thing, because some people are so stuck worrying about their needs that they're not able to. But you go above that you go above that certain level. There's so many people in the middle and upper classes in America that have just tuned out, that are focused on comfort. And I'm not saying this I'm not perfect. Like, I'm trying every day. I'm trying to live more sustainably. I'm trying to be morally consistent, but it is it's the culture is not set up in a way that we can do that. But the more people that want to, the easier it will be, and the more the culture will be set up in a way that acting sustainable, acting ethical, like, I don't know. A lot of people sit there and go, oh, there's nothing you can do, but I mean, at least you can care, at least you can try, and try and spread your ideas. I mean, that's kind of part of why I'm sitting here talking into this camera right now, like, and I know I keep drifting both in my words and my eyesight, but I don't know, like, I'm just a woman. Like, I'm just a woman who's trying, and I guess what I'm saying is I wish more people would try, and I do want to make a better world. Even if the world was perfect, I still don't think I'd choose to have children. I mean, there's random shit happens, cancer is, but I think especially with the way things are right now, I don't think it would be right to have a child. I worry, and I really want for a better world, and I know that like, that's not a controversial opinion. It's just how do people, like, just people, how do we build that for ourselves when we're trying to, how do we make that cultural shift? How do we cause societal change when it feels like, I'm one person, but collectively we're more? But how do we get there? I guess is the question. But as far as that goes, I mean, I won't be having kids. I had my tubes removed. I've previously made a video about that. If anyone is curious, especially any women out there who are thinking about getting it done, everyone's body is different. For me, it was as far as surgery goes, really easy. I'm so happy that I did that and I don't have to worry about getting pregnant, so I am very happy about that. And if I decide to be a parent one day, I would love to adopt or foster a child in need. I just help a prior existing child whose consciousness and existence I did not create. I would be open to that, but as far as procreating goes, it is not on the table for me for the morally relevant reasons listed in this video. And yeah, if anyone out there watched this, thank you so much for watching. I'm very curious to hear anyone's responses to this. If you agree or disagree or partially agree, please let me know in the comments below. And yeah, as far as everything goes, just fingers crossed for a better world, and I hope you all have the best day you can. And yeah, peace and love. Thank you for watching. Bye.